Just a few days ago, Overwatch dropped on the Nintendo Switch, and everybody is curious on how it works, how it runs, and if it's worth picking up. During this first impression, all the footage you see in the background is captured from the Nintendo Switch while playing Overwatch. So, to start off with, if you don't know what Overwatch is, it's a 6v6 arena-based hero shooter. And been hugely popular on the PS4, Xbox One, and even bigger on the PC side of things. Both in esports and just competitive games, Overwatch is usually a top one that people talk about. On the Nintendo Switch, I'm really surprised on how well this game runs. Blizzard does a good job with their porting process, and I have to be frank, I didn't expect it to be this smooth. When you have it in handheld mode, the game does run at 720p, 30 frames a second, and 900p in docked mode. With their art style and everything, it all looks so stinking good. Honestly, in handheld mode, this game looks great, and it just sings the praises of a good port job. Even in dock mode at 1080p, the game still looks really stinking good. I've played for a couple hours so far in both docked and in handheld mode, and I have been having a blast. The last time I played Overwatch was back when it dropped on the PS4, and I played it for a couple weeks following, and kind of died off for me. I really didn't utilize the PlayStation Plus aspect of things, and kind of let the game just fade off into nothingness. However, with the whole Nintendo Switch Online only being $20 a month, I've been a huge lover of seeing these online games finally coming back. Now, the big question when it comes to the Nintendo Switch and multiplayer games is the online connectivity. How are things? Well, right now, a couple days after launch, the wait times are a little long, sometimes upwards of 5+ minutes to get into a match, depending on what class you want to play. Obviously, most of your support classes are right around 2 minutes. Nobody wants to do healing, which, that's how that usually goes. But overall, I did have one disconnect so far while in docked mode. My Wi-Fi can be finicky from time to time, so I'm not going to hold that against it. But while I was in the match, things were running smooth and looking good and sounding good and just functioning as I remembered it on the PS4. And that was welcomed. Now, when it comes to how the game actually functions, in docked mode, I've been using a Pro controller from Nintendo, and it works like a dream. The controls are very well mapped, works really well, very quick responsive times on that, and just needs to be exactly how it is for a hero shooter. Now, one interesting thing is it does have gyro controls, and I instantly turned this off, and some people might enjoy this. Even with the Pro controller, you can move up, down, left, right with the remote, and it will track your movement. This is such an interesting feature, and I think that certain people will love this. Me personally, I move around a little bit while I have the controller in my hand, so it doesn't take long before I'm shooting all over the place. Everything functions really well in handheld mode, and still looks great. Overall, in textures, everything looks really good. Even when you get up close to most objects, things look really good with the paint jobs and their art style. Since it is that lighter art style, they're able to get away with a lot more and not take up as much resources from that, and that's a good thing on their part. There are a couple textures that I noticed that kind of look a little jaggedy when you look really close at them, but being a hero shooter, you're not here to look around at the graphics and how forklifts look up close. Now, a couple things to note on the Switch specific version. First of all, you don't have to use Nintendo's silly app for voice chat. You can actually plug in any kind of wired headset with a mic built onto it and instantly chat through it. Thank you, Blizzard, for getting that done, because nothing upset me more than ever having to use Nintendo's silly little app. Another thing to note here is that there is no cross progression. So if you have things that are on your PS4, Xbox One, or PC accounts, that does not transfer over to the Switch. So you gotta start fresh. Also, there is no cross play on this. So you will only be playing against people with the Nintendo Switch. I made a similar kind of statement back with Dead by Daylight on the Nintendo Switch. This can be both a good and bad thing. Good because, you don't have to worry about somebody on a Nintendo Switch. and having to go up against somebody on a PC with a keyboard and mouse. I'm sure there's obvious ways they could turn off those features if you didn't want to get into a match with those kind of people, but the other side of that is everybody's on a similar playing field when it comes to controllers and connectivity, so on and so forth. So another thing to note about this is there is no physical cartridge for Overwatch on the Nintendo Switch, which is disappointing in my aspects. I love physical cartridges. I have too many to count, and I don't know, I'm just weird like that. If you find the physical box, there is only a digital code put inside, so for the same cost, I bought a physical copy so I could have a spare case laying around in case I need one. But for the most part, there is no need for you to do it. It's the same cost at the moment of recording that you can get physical or digital. That brings me to the cost. It is $39.99 here in the United States. Now, at the time of recording, that includes a 3-month bundle for Nintendo Switch Online. So if you're an individual person, you can tack that onto your current amount of time that you have with the Nintendo Switch Online service. That's a good thing. Now, 3 months basically equates to about $7.99, $8 it looks like. So when you think about it, you're getting the game for about $33 to $32. And honestly, right around that $30 price range is a solid buy for this. It's one of these games that if you have the time to play it, do it. It is a lot of fun. The communities are usually pretty solid, especially when you're playing fresh out of the box with new people. Everybody kind of gets along. You're always going to have those ones that don't, of course. But overall, Blizzard did a solid port job here. The game runs smooth. It looks great. It sounds great. And overall is a worthy buy in my opinion. So that wraps up our first impressions for Overwatch on the Nintendo Switch. If you're interested in some other first impressions, click the link to your left. That'll take you to a running playlist of content I'm creating. And if you're enjoying this kind of content, click the link to your right. That'll take you to the channel where there are tons of videos going on over there. And until next time, you guys, stay frosty.